Everyone has their specific preferences for what genre of games they like to play. Actually, a lot of what our channel consists of is helping people find some of the best games in any given genre, and oftentimes the best free games in any given genre. Well, in this video, you'll be seeing games from all types of genres and gameplay styles. We went through and researched to find some of the best free games that are on Steam right now. We may exclude some of the large titles that you may already be aware of, just to make room for some of the lesser known games that you may not know about. Before we get started with the video, if you like the content revolving around finding the best paid and free games, not only should you subscribe to Cubold Gaming, but you should also consider checking out our friend's channel over at Should You Play It. They release multiple videos each and every week consisting of game reviews, in-depth tutorials, live streams, and they also cover each and every free game coming to Epic Games. Also, they are going to be guests on our Cuboldcast podcast, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. If you're looking for a way to keep up with the free games of the week, watching quality reviews, and joining another great community, we really recommend checking out and subscribing to Should You Play It. And with all that being said, my name is Caleb from Cubold Gaming, and here is our list for the best free games that you can get right now on Steam. Starting off this list strong, we have Sector's Edge, which is a unique first-person shooter with destruction and building elements. This game came on our radar a while ago, and ever since, it's definitely been one of our favorite free games to play. I also mentioned that it has destruction and building aspects. Well, pretty much the entire environment is destructible, and you can use that to your advantage. You can even tunnel through the entire map just to get to the enemy team's spawn and make a crazy flank play. The building aspect of the game is something that I don't use all that much, but I know it's an extremely valuable tool. You can make preset building structures and keybind them to specific keys so you can spawn in that structure for whatever purpose you need at that time. You have a ton of maps, great gunplay and mechanics, good physics, a whole lot of customizable options, a great community, and a passionate group of developers that love the game. Sector's Edge is a must-try if you like multiplayer first-person shooters with unique elements.
Snake Force is an indie game that has overwhelmingly positive reviews. It's a single-player, twin-stick shooter that combines mechanics from the classic game Snake. It sounds like a weird game to draw from, but the game is actually incredibly fun to play. The goal of the game is to rescue as many hostages as possible, and to bring a required number of hostages to the end of the level. The catch is that you can easily friendly fire your teammates, and you need to make sure that everyone is in a straight line before firing. The snake mechanic comes in when the rescued hostages line up behind you, creating a bigger line of soldiers each one you rescue. The crosshair aims every one of the soldiers' weapons at once, so you need to make sure that none of your men are in the line of fire before shooting. This makes the game very challenging, and it'll take some getting used to the mechanics. You'll most likely have to replay a lot of the levels before you figure out the best strategy for each one. If you aren't looking for any challenge, you can turn friendly fire off, which disables achievements but lets you utterly destroy every enemy you come across. By pressing Shift, you can make the whole game go into slow motion, which lets you dodge projectiles and take more accurate shots. Though the game is only a couple of hours long, it does have some good replayability. The graphic style of the game is very simple, but also very pleasing to look at. Overall, Snake Force is the type of free game that Steam needs a lot more of. If you want to play a great single-player game that's both challenging and fun, and doesn't have any microtransactions, then definitely check out Snake Force.
You've arrived. Good. There is much to do and every moment is critical.
Star Wars: The Old Republic has been on many other lists from us, and it is definitely one of those games that deserves to be on this list. The game has 8 classes to choose from, and they are all unique. We think that the most fun is the dark side classes, because it makes for a more interesting story, but you might think otherwise. The best thing about this game is the fact that there are over 20 planets to explore, and there's so much to do on each. From the main quest for your class, to the side quests you can do, there's honestly an unlimited amount of replayability with this game. Even if you aren't a fan of Star Wars, you will still enjoy this game. It is an MMO, so if you don't like those types of games, you might not be a big fan of this one. Obviously, there are paid DLCs in the game, but you can spend hundreds of hours in the game before even spending a dime. Free games do come with microtransactions and other purchasable items, but the best thing about this game is that you don't need to spend money to have fun in it. If you enjoy Star Wars and MMOs, then this might be a great game to try out for yourself.
If you were or are a fan of PUBG, like I am, then Super People is going to be something that I think you'll probably like too. Now, Super People, to me, was something that brought me back to the slower paced Battle Royale format that I loved so much back in the PUBG days. I still enjoy PUBG, which, by the way, is also a great free game now, and to be completely honest here, PUBG is one of my most played games that I have in my Steam library. So I'm not lying when I say I really do have a soft spot for PUBG. I also have to be honest in saying that I think Super People is a game that I enjoy more. It adds more elements to the gameplay with a more refined movement and graphics system. Now you still have your foundational PUBG gunplay and feel to the game, but it just adds more to do and a more colorful map design. I think Super People is a great free game to play with friends, and like I said before, if you like PUBG, then I think Super People is another great free game to add to your collection.
I personally don't play a lot of Battle Royale games, but Super Animal Royale is one that I actually really enjoy. The game has a similar look and feel as a lot of other Battle Royale games do, but in this case it's 2D and you play as cute animals that destroy each other. The 2D gameplay is very different from most Battle Royales, and it gives the game some unique mechanics. One really cool aspect of the game is that you can only see players that are close to you. You won't see players until they are within a certain viewing distance, which makes it a lot harder to spot players. The way the characters move and dash around is also a fun mechanic. If you have good timing on your dashes, you get a small movement boost that lets you get around the map quicker. The vehicles are all random objects that are animal related, like hamster balls or giant rideable emus, and instead of flying in on a plane, you fly in on a giant eagle. Everything about the game is super creative, and the game has an overall level of polish that really makes the game feel like it should be paid. Even if you're not into Battle Royales, I highly recommend checking it out.
Destiny 2 is a game that's gone through a ton of change. We were the people who actually pre-purchased the game when it first released on PC, and we even bought all the DLC that the game had at the time. In our case, this game let us down just because they actually deleted a ton of campaigns, including the Red War campaign, to make room for future paid DLCs. Putting that all aside, we think that this game is still amazing today, even after going free to play. The biggest plus for Destiny 2 is the fact that it is on Steam, which is a huge decision that allowed thousands of new players to try the game out. The gameplay is extremely polished, the guns feel really nice to shoot, and even the replayability is endless. Overall, Destiny 2 is one of the best free games you can get on Steam, and if you're really invested, you can even buy the DLCs that come along with it. We would highly recommend getting the Forsaken DLC, because the story and weapons are both great. Even though we don't agree with their decisions made by the developers, the game is still a ton of fun, and you don't even need to spend money to enjoy your time in it.
One of the most relaxing and chill games that I have ever played is SuchArt Creative Space. The game is a free-to-play artistic sandbox type game that gives you your own creative studio where you can customize, create, and paint all types of projects. You have a whole color spectrum and a list of different brushes and painting tools to use when creating your art. Not only can you make your own art, but you can also sell your in-game art and get in-game money to buy other art or more stuff to customize your studio. The painting physics in the game blew me away with how good they are. Whatever tool you are using, it always gives you a unique spray or painting texture that makes all the options feel different in their own ways. I also wouldn't just say that the game is only a painting simulator because there really is a lot to do here, and they really do a great job at making the game consistently interesting. Considering this game has consistent people having hundreds to thousands of hours in the game and holding an overwhelmingly positive review status on Steam, I definitely think SuchArt is a game you should really check out.
Trove is a game that's been around since 2015. A lot of people have already heard about this game, though I'm surprised that it doesn't have a higher player count. For those who haven't heard of it, it's a voxel-based, blocky MMO with a focus on exploring the massive world and completing dungeons. The world contains some amazing structures to explore, and the size of the world is surprisingly big. Every area of the map has a recommended level and power, and you need to level up your characters if you want to survive in new areas. Trove has a lot of different classes to play as, and each class feels completely different from each other. You can switch classes anytime you want while playing, so you don't have to feel like you're stuck with one particular class. The combat overall is simple but satisfying, and at the start it's really easy to find new gear for your character. There's so much content in Trove that it would be easy to get hundreds if not thousands of hours out of it. Trove's community is, for the most part, pretty helpful to new players. Certain longtime players of the game will often say that Trove isn't what it used to be. In a game like this, you can expect to spend a long time grinding for levels and gear once you've leveled up your characters quite a bit. Every time I play Trove, I have an enjoyable and relaxing experience. If you're looking for a free MMO to play, this game should be towards the top of your list.
Apex Legends used to be one of our favorite games back when it came out. We even had the game pre-downloaded because we were a fan of the Titanfall games. The game came out when the Battle Royale games were becoming huge. Obviously, Battle Royales are still being made today. That is when they peaked in players and viewers. What made Apex interesting is that it took the already beloved Titanfall series and turned it into something new. We haven't played in a while, but there are still thousands of people jumping onto the game, and a free-to-play tag is a big invitation to just download and try it. If you look at Twitch, Apex is always in the top 15 most watched games, and it will be there for a long time after this video. The developers are constantly changing and adding things to the game, so if you play it and don't touch it for a while, you might come back to something that is very different. New maps, guns, and even characters to choose from will force you to try something new that won't make the game stale at all. If you have never tried Apex Legends before, get 2 other friends and squad up and try it out.
Gravitas is a game that I think is among the greatest free games that you can get just solely because of the amount of work that is put into the game. Gravitas is a free single-player puzzle platforming game that takes heavy inspiration from the likes of Portal and Portal 2. I don't want to say all that much about the game because there is something special about exploring the game's atmosphere, but I will say that the game has a really interesting premise and storyline. You have your own unique and developed characters, and even a Wheatley-like character that follows you through the game. The puzzles aren't all that difficult, but are enjoyable enough, and really the game just has a lot of charm, and it honestly feels like a paid game that you can play for free. The game has about a few hours of gameplay worth, and if you like puzzle games or even just great single-player story mode experiences, I really recommend checking out the game.
Splitgate is an incredibly inventive and fun shooter that is completely free to play. The game combines mechanics from the Portal series with traditional shooter gameplay, and the result is a hectic FPS with lots of room for big brain plays. It's incredibly satisfying to quickly shoot a portal and get behind your enemies. The portals even allow you to shoot through them, and enemies can't see through the portals. You are able to destroy enemy portals using grenades, but most players seem to ignore the portals, which leads to a bunch of easy targets. There are tons of amazing game modes to play, with a great variety of weapons to use. The setting and style kind of make it feel like a faster paced Halo game, though the portal mechanic adds an entirely new layer to the game. Splitgate doesn't have any vehicles, but the game does have large maps with tons of surfaces to place your portals. It'll take new players a little bit to get used to the portal mechanic, but once they figure it out, it'll unlock infinite possibilities of ways to outsmart your opponents. The portals are simply an amazing mechanic that works flawlessly with the FPS gameplay. If you're looking for an FPS game that feels new and unique, you should definitely check out Splitgate.
Halo Infinite is one of those games that was delayed multiple times, and most people were not really happy with the time it took to come out. Finally, back in November of 2021, Halo Infinite multiplayer was released unexpectedly and went fully free to play. Not only was it fun, but it was the next step in the Halo universe, and even though there are some people who don't like it as much, there are still a ton of people playing it. The only thing we weren't really a fan of was the lack of options when it came to choosing game modes. You basically have to play whatever the game tells you to play, and it isn't that fun to play capture the flag or hold the skull when the game forces you to. Putting that aside, the gameplay is extremely smooth, and the guns feel great, but you do need a pretty decent PC if you want to play at ultra settings. The customization is a little lacking, but as the game ages, there will be more added, so you don't really have to worry about that very much. If your PC can run it, or if you have an Xbox, then go try Halo Infinite multiplayer for yourself. If you found this video helpful, then make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out Should You Play It also, as we said earlier in the video. We also have a gaming podcast if you want to check that out as well. If you play any of these games on this list, make sure to tell us down in the comment section below, and also tell us what other free games you like to play on Steam. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.